What's up, everyone? It's Dakota, and welcome back to another Pioneer video, and this is going to be kind of my mini apology to the Hidden Strings deck, because I didn't think it was all that great of a deck, and I had ranked it decently high, but, and I think it's kind of settled into that ranking, but has definitely performed a lot better than I expected it to. So today we're going to kind of take a look back at the deck, and we're going to see kind of the changes that it made, and why exactly it's performing a lot better than it was in previous formats. But of course, before we get too deep into the video, if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to see more videos, I post a lot of modern Pioneer and longer form content. So if any of that interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel and ring the notification bell so you know when those videos get posted. And if you go into the description down below, you will see a link to this deck list along with a link to my Discord server as well. If you are interested in any of that, go ahead and follow those links. Join the Discord server. Let's talk about Magic. Anything and everything. I've had people post about sets that they've created and ask questions and things like that, and I really appreciate that. I like getting to interact a little bit with the community that we're trying to build, so definitely join over there if you're interested. So Hidden Strings combo is based on, we also hear it called Lotus Field combo, and I think that's probably a more accurate name than Hidden Strings. So Hidden Strings is this card from, I believe this is Dragon's Maze or something like that. It's 2 mana, so 1 generic and a blue for a sorcery, and you may tap or untap target permanent, then you may tap or untap another target permanent. And it has Cipher. You can exile the spell and code it to a creature, and whenever that creature, to a creature you control, whenever that creature deals combat damage, you can cast the spell without paying its mana cost. Or, cast a copy of it, specifically is what it says. Really doesn't come up. It's probably, maybe come up once, every 100 some odd games. It's just something that's not relevant. What is relevant is tapping and untapping permanents, and it pairs very well with the card Lotus Field, which is a land that has hexproof, enters the battlefield tapped, and requires you to sacrifice 2 lands, but it can tap for 3 mana of any one color. While playing this as a normal card, you're essentially going to net even on mana, because you're going to play as your 3rd land, it's going to produce 3 mana, and then when you turn 4, you play your land, you're going to produce 4 mana. No big deal. But when you pair Lotus Field with a card like Thespian Stage, you end up having 6 mana off of 2 lands, and because Thespian Stage copies the land and the land's already in play, and the trigger from Lotus Field happens when it enters the battlefield, you don't actually have to sacrifice 2 lands when you copy a Lotus Field with a Thespian Stage. So the idea is that you get a Lotus Field into play, and then you use a Thespian Stage to copy it, and now you have 2 lands that produce 3 mana of any one color to your mana pool. So we've able to now generate a ton of mana between Lotus Field, or 2 Lotus Fields and a Hidden Strings. We're able to generate 10 mana. All right, what are we doing with that mana? Well, the idea is that you can then cast something like an Emergent Ultimatum. You can search your library for 3 monocolored cards with different names. You exile them. Opponent chooses one of those cards and shuffles it into your library. And then you can cast the other cards without paying their mana cost, and you exile Emergent Ultimatum. So, in theory, you try to, step 1, get Lotus Fields into play. Step 2, cast an Emergent Ultimatum. And step 3, profit, because a lot of the time you're just able to kind of win from that setup. How exactly do we get to Lotus Field? Well, we're trying to do it as fast as possible. So something like Arboreal Grazer is going to put lands into play. So Grazer on turn 1 can play you play Grazer, you put another land into play tap, maybe something like a Hedge Maze or a Temple of Mystery that was already going to come into play tap, and then you kind of get that Scry/Surveil action to kind of help you find some of your other things to set up. And ideally then you can pay 2 mana and then play a Lotus Field, and then you sacrifice 2 lands, and then you play something like Sylvan Scrying or an Impulse or something like that to kind of dig for the Thespian Stage or whatnot. You could cycle Vizier Tumbling Sands, get to untap the land, which pairs very well with the card Archdruid's Charm, which is kind of a way that you can put a land into play. So Archdruid's Charm is triple green. So in this scenario that we set up, we floated 2 mana, we played a Lotus Field on turn 2, and then we cycled a Vizier Tumbling Sands to untap the land. Now we cast an Archdruid's Charm, and you can search your library for a creature or land card, reveal it, put it onto the battlefield tapped if it's a land, otherwise put it into your hand, then shuffle. So on your opponent's end step on turn 2, you're able to Archdruid's Charm and go and get a Thespian Stage into play, or any one of these other lands, honestly, and untap, and then either for land for turn if you didn't go get stage, go play stage. If not, go play another land. And then you're able to, add 4 mana between your Lotus field and the land that you put into play, and then activate Thespian Stage, having 2 mana floating, cast something like Hidden Strings, untapping these, and then, casting like Pour Over the Pages, getting to cast something like Hidden Strings to net mana to get up to this Urgent Ultimatum, and then just go and get something like Leer, go and get like a Dark Petition and an Omniscience, and giving your opponent, that kind of decision. We've seen like Pour Over the Pages, Dark Petition, Omniscience as well. Really any combination of cards, and it all just depends like on the texture of the game, whether it is necessary for you to go get Leer. Like if you cast a bunch of spells, Leer is going to be a pretty good target to get, along with something like a Pour Over the Pages and then like an Omniscience, and just kind of set up that way. I mean, if your hand's pretty stacked and like your opponent shuffles back the Leer, Omniscience is going to do a lot of work. No, it just really depends on kind of like what you're looking for. In this version of the deck in particular, you have a Fae of Wishes in your main board, and you're really casting it for the granted, adventure part of it, where you get to choose a non-creature card you own from outside the game, reveal it, and put it to your hand, and you can go get Approach of the Second Sun to, cast it, and then you gain 7 life, and the next time you cast it and it resolves, you're going to win the game. So you're able to, Fae of Wishes, go get an Approach of the Second Sun, cast it, put it put it as the 7th card. Then you can cast something like an Emergent Ultimatum, and you get something like Dark Petition and like Pour Over the Pages, or you just cast Dark Petition and you end up getting the Approach and then winning the game that way. There's also an Emergent Ultimatum in here as well if you need to go and get an Emergent Ultimatum into play. There's like a lot of times where you could just hard cast Omniscience and then just go get Fae to go get Emergent, go and get some more things. You can go and get like Pour Over the Pages, like Impulse and like Leer and stuff like that, and you can just kind of set up where no matter what they give you, you're going to end up having mana, drawing a bunch of cards, what have you, and then just being able to win the game from there. And it's not hard once you cast an Emergent Ultimatum to find a way to win a game, especially when you're potentially dead on the next turn. There's some other hits in the sideboard as well. You can get Depopulate, Sunfall, Temporary Lockdown. For some of these other creature decks, you have Voyaging Satyrs that can come in. You have Unauthorized Exit to deal with some annoying non-land permanents. Narset's Reversal is pretty good in the mirror, because then you can just like counter an Emergent Ultimatum and then copy that spell, and it doesn't even counter it because you're going to copy it and then you return the original to its owner's hand. You can kind of do this on like your own cards as well, so you could cast like an Emergent Ultimatum for free, Narset's Reversal it back to your hand, and then you just have a copy of Emergent Ultimatum, and then you can cast the other Emergent Ultimatum again. And while it's obviously a lot easier doing it with Omniscience, there is times where you just generate so much mana that you can just Ultimatum and then Narset's Reversal as well. You have a Zakama in the sideboard as well. I see people play this card like all the time in the sideboard, and thank God it's not ungodly expensive. At least I don't think anymore. I mean, it says $215, whatever. Zakama does a lot of work because it untaps all the lands if you cast it, and then it's kind of like a sink that you can just end up like floating a bunch of mana and then just like dealing 3 damage to your target creature. You can just like destroy all your opponent's creatures, destroy all their enchantments and artifacts, and then also gain life on top of it too, as well as just being a 9/9, which is very hard to deal with in the format, considering that even something like a Vein Ripper is not going to have an easy time dealing with his Elder Dino. And that is the Hidden Strings combo deck for the Pioneer format. This deck is kind of a monster. It's super annoying to play against. It's really just not a fun experience to play against. And when you're getting railroaded as like the Hidden Strings deck, when you're playing it and you're just having a hard time actually going off, it is not a fun deck. It is only a pleasant experience for the person kind of going off and playing the deck. I'm surprised that it kind of avoided a ban. I know I keep saying that Pioneer doesn't need any bans, but I also said I wouldn't be mad about it. And Hidden Strings is one of those decks that I think at some point it's just not going to be able to exist in the format. I think it just is unfun to play against. And we've seen decks kind of get banned because of they're just not fun to play, they're not fun to watch, what have you. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the Hidden Strings deck. It's still very good for as long as it's legal to play, so definitely, get your hands on it and try it out if you're interested. I'll have a link to the deck list in the description down below. And yeah, that's going to do it for me in this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel, ring the notification bell, leave a like on the video. all that fun, happy stuff. Join the Discord server. The link is also in the description down below with the deck list. And that's going to do it for me in this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in the next one.